it's gonna be quite the anticlimax because I think I would
Beer?
drink beer.
Oh
Yes.
my God, he said it.
I know I'm a simple man, you know.
Simple man.
At the core of me, I'm a simple man. I'm a humble guy. Yes, exactly. I would choose an humble beer. Yes.
Asma Ben Tanfous is the founder of Deserteur, a company known for its event planning and its own wine tasting events and workshops. It's also behind the wine lists for a number of restaurants and food halls in Montreal. Asma, a former actuary, launched Deserteur in 2018 as a celebration of artisanal products working in a way that respect the earth and living beings on it. Sorry for my mediocre translation there. For anyone who speaks French, that's une célébration des produits d'artisans travaillant dans le respect de la terre et du vivant. Deserteur's focus is on the curation of and education surrounding artisanal wine and sake. If you're thinking that means natural, organic, and biodynamic wines, you're right. But she doesn't import the wines herself. Instead, she makes mixed cases for her events from other agencies in Montreal. That is, until now. Asma and her partner/lawyer Jean-Gabriel Vignault recently expanded into importing unique sakes, a more than welcome addition to a Montreal sake market that definitely has room to grow. And an even bigger change, I think, is they're going to start importing their own wines, actually champagnes for now, instead of just running events and making wine lists from other agencies' offerings. A number of their mixed cases and online tasting events are already sold out, but I recently attended one and know that some are coming up. And now that I know how it goes, I definitely recommend that you do so as well. So, to talk about how they've grown their business and get an insider's look into the wine and sake import agencies in Canada, here are Asma and Jean-Gabriel.
I know you as a wine import agency first and foremost, for your wine events. And I know you said you're going to be starting to bring in some champagne, but you don't actually bring in wine yourself yet. And yet you've started bringing in sake. So what are we drinking today?
Sake, of course.
Sake? What do you have there?
Yeah, so we got this really, really great producers, which is called Kiyasho Shuzo. They do this iconic cult brand in Japan, which is called Jikon. And we're having the omachi. So that's a rice that is grown in the southwest of Japan, in the prefecture called Okayama, I'm sorry. And it is even more prestigious / geeky because it comes from the Bisen region of Okayama, which is one of the most prestigious region for omachi rice. So we're super stoked to have this sake with us in Quebec and to be drinking it as well.
And you just had a webinar with it, and it was one of your mixed cases, I believe, as well. And I missed it. I was very disappointed. So you're going to have to tell me all about it when you drink it there. You just did a webinar with it, yeah?
Yes, we started the Sake and Wine Month Club. So it was the first one, and it was we wanted to start it with our own sake for the first one. So and it went fast because we didn't have a lot, and even Jean-Gab and me are sharing bottles. So and it was yesterday, and it was pretty fun. We went through the 5 sakes and they answering questions and telling the stories of the les brasseries, the brewers.
Yeah.
Because in artisanal sake, that's the fun part too. There's a lot of stories that need to be shared, I think, to give it even more special. So yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about webinars in a second, but we'll cheers first. I have a sake cheers. From another tasting, actually. I know I'm supposed to fill it up more than that, but I'm trying to.
There was Akura de Wanosato.
Yeah, yes. Exactly. You know this one. Yes. It's a Junmai, and it's in my fancy Junmai glass now, which I just got from Riedel. They have a special Junmai glass. I was going to put it in the more traditional one like this, but I really found that wide ridge. This is super geeky sake talk. I found that this particular sake really, it did have a difference kind of on the tongue when you drank in this glass or in a wide lipped glass like this, as opposed to like a wine glass or a wine tasting glass. Exactly. Anyway, thank you for joining me here today. Kanpai, cheers, santé,
cheers.
Whatever language. You tell me about the Jikon?
Yeah, Jikon is is so interesting because we, as Asma was telling yesterday, we had the whole it's definitely not the whole lineup, is the 3 sakes from Jikon that we import. And what's super interesting is that Onisan, I'm sorry, the Kuramoto Toji, which is the brewer, the main brewer, the master brewer, and also the president of Kiyasho Shuzo, he likes to focus a lot on rice variety. So there's a lot of emphasis on what is the impact of the variety on the final sake. And we had the opportunity to taste 3 of them, and they were quite different. And that was so interesting because they're basically brewed in a similar fashion. The polishing ratio or the semi-buhai are pretty much similar in the 3 of them. And yeah, there's quite a bit of difference. So you really see the impact of the rice through the final result in the sake. And so Omachi always got a lot of depth. Nice acidity as well, because I was talking to you that it comes from the Bizen part of Okayama. Definitely, at the end you really get that kiss of the sweetness, but it's really it's more fragrant actually. It's very bizarre because yesterday we had it and it was, I wouldn't say more muted, but it was more, you felt more the depth of it and also the texture of it. But now it's more aromatic. You really feel like it's the strawberry nose like all the way, and it's quite delicious.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. I think I could just let you go on for the rest of this podcast.
Oh,
It'd be
yes,
great. You seem
absolutely.
to know a ton about sake, so I have 2 immediate questions. Well, actually, so that one is private import only through you guys.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
and this one that I'm drinking is private is now in the SRQ, I believe, through Metropolitan Wines and Sakes. But yeah, it's in the SRQ, so we can get some interesting sakes now in the SRQ. It used to be not a thing here.
Yes.
So my question, my second question is, how did you get so knowledgeable about sake? And then I'm going to follow that up by saying, Asma, did you get into sake through Jean-Gab, or did your love of sake come first? So which came first, the love of Jean-Gab or the love of sake?
Great question. In fact,
I'm still waiting for the love of Jean-Gab. So, yes.
Well, it's only been how long now?
It's not that long, but that's funny because I started liking sake because I used to work in for Bacchus 66.
76.
76. Whoops, sorry. So I used to work with them, and one day they asked me, "Do you like sake?" And I did, like most people say, no, because I remembered that hot sake I used to drink the cheap sakes. And when they served me a first glass, and I went through the portfolio, and I was, oh my God, why did I miss this? Because I was into natural wine.
So much flavor, so much variety. It's not just burning and
different. So that's when it started. And through Instagram, I was following Jean-Gab, and I saw that he was knowledgeable about sake, and that's why we started texting sake, champagne, pizza, all the good stuff.
all of the wonderful things.
Yes.
And then I'm sure Japanese cuisine as well. Did you get to go to Japan? I know Jean-Gab has been to Japan.
We were supposed to go in January, but guess what?
So we all know what happened there. All right. Okay. So I have a couple quick questions. I'm not even going to call it a lightning round because that never works.
There's no short answer with us anyway.
Well, this one will start with the short answer, I hope. Asma, do you still trip over boxes of wine in your house? Because I read somewhere. Okay, good.
No, I don't, because I moved and now it's in my basement. That was the only reason I moved. So yeah.
Just for the basement. Good for you. That's when you
for
know
the wine,
that you're serious. I get it. Jean-Gab, the sake that made you fall in love with sake?
It's a good question. There's so many of them. So just maybe to, I'll do the
short answer.
Because I wanted maybe to follow up, because you asked me how did I fall in love into sake.
Right.
So really, I think what the game changer for me the first time I was in Japan in 2017, I had a Tamagawa which is imported by one bottling of them is imported by Bacchus 76, which is absolutely delicious as well. They got the red label, but it was a different one. It was a namazake, basically, so unpasteurized sake, super expressive. And the good thing about sake is that in Japan, it's quite cheap compared to what we get over here. Yeah. So you can get the really higher end cuvées, higher end bottlings for like quite.
How much would that be, for example, Canadian?
Like I don't know. I think it was like maybe 35 in Japan, so it would be maybe something like 70, 80 plus over here.
And how much would we normally pay for it? Like what's the cheap version? What's the expensive version? Like
well, I wouldn't say the cheaper version, but let's say like for example, the red label from Tamagawa is about $25 Canadian dollars in Japan, and it's around $50 when it comes over here. So but the logistics are very complicated.
Yeah,
and
especially for Nama, especially for unpasteurized, because I know there are a few companies. Sorry, so you were saying, so that's what made you fall in love with sake?
Yes, exactly. So they got, I don't remember, I think it's Daiginjo, so they got a really beautiful bottle of Daiginjo, and that sake really made me fall in love with, because Daiginjo from Namazake is a bit, I wouldn't say controversial, but it's a bit counterintuitive, because when you want to express as much as possible when you have a namazake, so usually you will take a bit less of the rice when you polish it. So usually for namazake, polishing ratio will be a bit higher, but Tamagawa, they do crazy stuff, and that is one of their very, very, very nice sake. I think it's their most high-end offering, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
So you started with the good stuff. That makes sense. Can I tell you a secret, though? It's not going to be a secret anymore when I tell everybody who watches this podcast. I had never used a tekari. Is that what it's called? The tokuri. The carafe that you heat sake in. And I'd never actually heated sake before. Like I have one, and I'd never actually used it to heat the sake. And that can open up a lot of the flavors in certain sakes. And I had heard that and never kind of played around with it for myself. And I just did that for the first time the other day, and I feel like an adult now.
And how was it? Did you like it, or?
I mean, it was. I appreciated it because it was different. I like it because I like all good quality sake. But I don't know if I liked it better that way. I just thought it was interesting, and there were different flavors that came out.
I think that the Wanosato is a great
example for that.
Yeah, it's a great sake to do kanzake. Kanzake basically is heated sake, and I think you should definitely try it. And there's going to be more acidity that's going to come with heating it, and I'm sure it's going to be a very interesting experience, yeah, for sure.
Okay, what's your Instagram?
Just yes.
JUSTEDUJUS.
Yes, exactly. Only juice, basically.
In English. Yeah, got it.
Yeah. And the best way for me to heat up sake, it's in the bath.
Oh yeah.
I have to say it again. Yeah, it's perfect. You get it from the fridge, and then you let it just warm up with the temperature of the bath. So for me, it's relaxing. And
wait, so you're getting in the bath and you put the bottle in the bath with you?
No, just my glass. I take the glass, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay, that makes sense.
So I see how it tastes when it's out of the fridge, and then when it warms up.
Yeah, because for me,
I prefer sake in the bathtub than wine, because when it's warmer, it's still good.
When the sake is warmer. Yeah. Whereas if the wine warms up,
Sorry, I was not clear.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, and I agree with you. And so wine, you started in wine, and then you fell in love with sake. Jean-Gab, you were already in love with sake, and now you've fallen in love with wine?
No, it was exactly like Asma. It's pretty much the other way around. So first travel in Japan was in 2017, and so it's a long flight, between Montreal and Tokyo. So what I did is that I got, just before I left at the airport, I got the ebook of John Gottner, Sake Confidential, which is basically a good intro course into sake. So I think I read the whole thing in the plane, and so when I got out, the first thing I wanted to do was to try sake.
Yep.
And so I went there for like 3 weeks the first time around, and I tasted as many sake as I could. And then the second time around, when I got into Japan last winter, I went for a bit more than 2 months. So once again, this time I had the privilege to visit many curas, many breweries. So that was really, really nice. But first and foremost, wine enthusiast, and then a sake enthusiast. But I think the energy I put into sake for the last year or two, I think is surpassed what energy I put in wine.
Well, your enthusiasm is obvious.
Thank you.
Asma, can we talk a little bit about the process of becoming an import agent and how difficult that is? Because you're known for running events, which were always so cool. Like, I actually never went to one of your events, and I've only now done a webinar with you, which was thrilling. But you weren't even the one giving the webinar. So what has it been like becoming an import agent of your own and starting to import your own products?
It's a great question, because I remember when I started Deserteur, I said I would never import my own sake and wine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why?
I was not, because I like to pick and choose from the portfolio here in Montreal. So yeah, but when we saw that some of our favorite sakes through Jean-Gabriel were not imported here, it was like, we said we have to get them here, even just for us, but to share them with the community. So the timing was not the best one, because it was right during COVID, and the restaurants were closing, and we still wanted to share sake and wine, and the simple, not simple way, but the way we found was to import our own sakes and share them with mixed case. So that's where it started. And I think because it was in COVID time, it was harder, because the SAC stopped new orders. So we had to wait and see, because we were new. Yeah.
And that was when mixed cases came out for wine. And so you're starting to see all these import agencies offer mixed cases just to get their stock out of SAQ warehouses, which I thought was really fascinating, because if it's sitting there, the SAQ can't bring anything else in, and they don't want it sitting there. They don't want the agencies to have to pay fees. So was that an opportunity for you in wine in any way, or was there an opportunity in that?
Yes, because the first online pop-ups that we did, it was our way to respect all the reservation that I did for the wine list that we curate, because we do wine list at Time Out Market, Rock Le Coq, help me, Capital Taco, and Café Pista. So, and reservation for a Time Out is not 1-2 cases. We take a lot of cases.
Yeah, all those orders, that would be massive.
Yeah, so I didn't want to cancel them and let the importers deal with that. So that's why we started doing the online pop-ups too. So I can sell the wine that I reserved and do something fun around it, helping a restaurant sell more food, selling wine from agency here, and giving a fun way to learn around that. Because at first, I think we were one of the first week after March 13, we did an online pop-up. And at first I didn't want to talk about wine because things were pretty serious, but people need to get entertained, and I need to find a reason to get out of bed.
And you were so successful, though. You have been so successful in selling those mixed cases. I think you've been sold out of everything.
Yeah, I was very surprised, because I don't know. You try something, and you can only do the best that you can, and you see the response of people. And it went so fast. I remember the first one, I think not even 10 hours, and it was sold out.
What was it? What were the wines?
The first time that we did it was with Rock Le Coq. I don't even remember the wine. We did like 20.
Yeah, rotisserie chicken. Everybody loves rotisserie chicken in lockdown. Yeah. That'll be a good seller.
Yeah, and we always found alternative for vegan or vegetarian food, because it's important for us, and Jean-Gabriel is vegetarian too. In our community, there's a lot of people not eating meat. I try to reduce, but I love fried chicken too much.
I understand. There's a gluten-free fried chicken option in my neighborhood now, and I'm very excited for that. Miel is doing rubies. Yeah, I got to get over there.
To try that. Yeah.
Okay, so now you've started doing these. All of these webinars have been so successful, but are you having trouble with bringing in sakes and other alcohols right now, and with your champagne that you're trying to bring in as well, or has that been more manageable because the SAQ knows that you're so valuable to them at this point?
Do you want to take it, Jean-Gab?
Well, I think you can talk to any agency, and well, I'm gonna put that in a politically correct way. I think it's
such a lawyer. That's wonderful.
Yes. An ex-lawyer. Yeah.
So I think sometimes there can definitely be struggles and miscommunication between the importer and the SAQ. So sometimes it can definitely be a struggle. And you were talking about the SAQ stopping the private import channel for months, especially this summer. So that was hard, especially for us who wanted to start bringing sakes at that time as soon as possible. So I mean that wasn't very easy.
Yeah, and probably even more complicated because you're working with That's Life, which is already in Ontario and BC, or maybe it's easier bringing it in from those provinces rather than bringing it directly from Japan?
It was easy to bring it. It's way easier because first and foremost they got a refrigerated warehouse. So that's super nice for sake. So they don't stand around in the heat. So those great options. So they could stay in the refrigerated warehouse in BC before we got it shipped in. So that was easy. And because there wasn't anything about customs, so that it got very got easier that way. But still, it was a lot of back and forth. I can assure you that. Yes.
And you were saying in the summer it was more difficult.
Yes, exactly, because the SAQs just stopped because, as we were saying, the warehouses were full of private import products. So yeah, we had to wait. The SAQ in August gave us a window of 1 week to put your order in, and you had to make sure your order was in, because if not, it would be kind of hard to have it for in time for the holidays. But it's not all bad because we received it much quicker than we thought we were going to receive it. So logistically, I think the SAQ they got it dialed in, but I think it's a bit more difficult on the I wouldn't say the client-facing interface in dealing the importer dealing with the SAQs a bit. That's where things can get a bit tricky.
Are you looking forward to mixed cases ending again? When this lockdown is over?
Well, the thing is that mixed cases, it's not the solution that's going to heal all the wounds, because the thing is that first and foremost, you still have to do many products in one case. So you still have to do 3 products of 2 each.
And deliver directly to consumers, right?
Yes, exactly. Well, there can be pickup,
there can be pickup
as well.
Okay.
So it's definitely not the solution that's gonna take care of every problem. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, you can for us it's easier to go through a restaurant, especially we collaborate with Bonitas who have been super supportive and have done a great job in doing vegan options solution for Mexican food at a very, very, very low cost. So that really helps us keep costs in check for our mixed cases. So it's a good thing. It's definitely an opening, so that's always good when we see opening from the SAQ. But I don't think that's like the greatest solution ever, because it's the agent that does what they want with the mixed case. So
right, yeah.
No, and even for the SIQ, it's everything is manually done, from what I understood. So even for them, it's cost effective to do the mixed case. So
it's cost ineffective actually, because because it takes a lot of time. Manual labor.
You have to break down every 12 pack of wine and then recombine it into the mixed case.
They don't do that. That's the agent.
That's the agent. So what's hard for them to do?
Because the system is done to be sold by cases.
Right.
So I think, I don't want to say something that I'm not sure, but the problem is still that an agency that has to break down the cases, and they have to make sure to sell all the cases.
Right. Okay.
So they can't have one left.
We're going to have a whole other podcast in a couple months once their whole private import individual bottle sale is more accepted, or whatever they develop it into after La Grande Dégustation. There was some of that, so hopefully there'll be a little bit more. But we'll talk about that on another podcast for sure. I just want to know, so you started selling mixed cases back when mixed cases weren't a thing that private agencies were doing, but you could do that by working with other agencies and collaborating. And it was kind of like a wine club, but not. So what exactly is a wine club, and how does that work?
Oh my God, that's a big question. But it's
take a big sip of your sake and let's go.
But it's true, because I think the second week of lockdown, we did our first mixed case with Rock Le Coq, because people are paying for the food, they're having the wine, why not add 3, 4, 5 bottles that they can have and not go to the SIQ waiting in line? So that's where it started. And was it a wine club? Yeah, wine and sake club. That's what we're doing now. At the beginning, I didn't want to use that expression, because I want everyone, even if they don't have a lot of knowledge on wine or sake, to feel included. So that's maybe why I didn't want to use wine club, but I just have to repeat that it's for everybody. If you are starting, or if you are a geek like Jean-Gabriel, it's perfect. Yeah. I don't know if I answered the question.
But anybody can start a wine club, or is that legal in Quebec? How does that work?
It's not a wine club
per se.
Yeah, exactly. Because for that, you have to have 100 members, and you cannot use the wines from other agency.
So you have to be a wine importer yourself, and then it has to be only your wines that you're mixing for your wine club.
That's what I understood.
Okay, I get it.
And that was not what I wanted. I wanted to show all the agencies in Montreal, so that was not an option.
Right. But if me and my 99 closest friends wanted to form a wine import kind of co-op, we could theoretically do that. But it would be super complicated, like you said.
Yeah, you have to go through the SIQ. Yeah.
Right.
Because
okay.
at the start, that's what I wanted, but I saw it was not possible in the way I wanted to do it, and to share the wines from our favorite agencies in Montreal.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And so, Lynn, let's talk about webinars a little bit more. And I just attended your webinar with Mariko of That's Life, and she is so knowledgeable. I had heard of this woman through other sake friends in Ontario and Quebec, and I was just so amazed at her import company. Her portfolio is so impressive, and so you're importing through her. But that's not a usual webinar for you, where you let someone else take the reins. So how did you feel that went?
We always we have different roles, Jean-Gabriel and me. So for that one, I was more on the chat, writing the words that Jean-Gab say with no accent perfectly. And sometimes I take more the lead. So it depends of how comfortable I am. I think for sake, Jean-Gab is the one to talk about sake. I will more be the one asking questions, just to make people feel safe to ask their question and make jokes, because
it has to be fun, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It has to be entertaining. And I think that's what I really enjoyed about that webinar, was that whenever you had a question, it was answered immediately. But it was probably also going to come up in the conversation with Mariko, and she was so engaging. And that is actually on your website, I believe, the stream of that webinar, because it was free and you can see it all for free there. And what I especially liked was it was not Sake 101, which is often what agencies in Quebec do, which is not a bad thing, because Quebec needs a lot of that. And I appreciate every Sake 101 class that I get, because I will learn something else that I haven't learned before. But she didn't treat the audience like beginners. She really went further with her explanations and talking about a lot of the special qualities of the namasake, of the unpasteurized sakes, of the very artisanal sakes that she imports and that you import through her. So that was really fun for me and very engaging. So I highly recommend that people check that out.
Oh, that's nice. But yeah, we try to have some webinars that are more for people that are starting. But since Jean-Gabriel and I are geeks, we like to push things further too. And even if you catch 1, 2, 3 things, it's always nice to assist, even for a beginner. Mm-hmm. And we are always here to answer the questions on the chat or live or in DMs. We love to talk about sake, right, Jean-Gab?
Yeah, if you guys started on Instagram, then I believe that's probably the best way to get in touch with you. So then what's coming up for you that's not sold out? Because I just checked today and I was like, wow, you have no alcohol that I can buy, and you have one webinar that I can go to, but I can't buy the mixed case because that's sold out. So what do poor people like me do?
Go ahead, Jean-Gabriel. I'll let you say the scoops.
Yeah, so basically what we have right now going on, we just released our magazine on growing champagne, online magazine on growing champagne, which we put a lot of love and care into it. It was a project that we started with another amazing woman, which is called Yoko. She had a book that was released earlier this year, and we did an online magazine with her filled with pictures, anecdotes, and really geeky stuff about grow champagne. So like pretty much all the info that we have collected throughout our visits with champagne grows, which was super fun to do. That's one thing.
Wait, how much is that, first of all?
It's $9.95.
$9.95, and so that you just threw it together from all your pictures, from all your information. So you went to visit these growers, grape growers.
Growers, champagne, so champagne growers.
Yes, it's an interesting term for me. And people who know champagne know growers champagne. If you don't know champagne, you might not have heard that before. Can you just define that very quickly?
Yes, for sure. So basically, champagne has been constructed between two type of businesses. You had the growers on one end, and you had the maison on the other end, the champagne houses on the other end.
These are the big ones that we know, like Veuve, for example.
Moët Chandon, Veuve, Laurent Perrier, etc. So,
but they're not growers.
Yeah, the thing is, that's it. So they were two type of businesses. On the one end, you had the growers who grew basically the grapes, and on the other end, you had the maison or the négociant who bought the grapes and then vinified them to make champagne. So in the last few years, what we've seen is that there were some what we call a grower champagne or récoltant manipulant, to be very, very specific.
Please.
Which which basically were a grower that vinified and did their own wines, their own champagne. So it's basically more of a integrated product, right. That there's you grow the grapes and then you do the champagne.
Do you have one coup de cœur before I let you tell me about the second thing that you have coming up?
I
just
have
one,
many coup de
just
cœur.
One coup de cœur.
Can it be someone that we're gonna import?
Sure, please, yeah.
So that's a huge scoop. So there's this champagne grower that I did not, because I did a stage basically in Champagne this last fall. So I was 3 months. I worked for a champagne brewer, which I absolutely love, which is called Laerte Frères, with Aurélien Laerte and Thierry, which is imported by Glue in Montreal.
Yeah, I thought that was Glue.
Yeah, exactly. You're good.
Well, I know Jack, so.
Oh, okay, great. So they do amazing stuff, and they could be my coup de cœur, but I want to give you a scoop. So, and he blinded me with one bottle. So when a champagne producer tells you you should definitely seek out another champagne producer,
you do it.
Well, you better do it.
Yeah.
So that champagne producer was Champagne Cazé Thibault, which is helmed by Fabien Cazé, who has a really, really small vineyard of 2.5 hectares, which is super, super small. One of the smaller grower champagne, in Champagne. And Champagne is absolutely amazing. His work is almost flawless. I could go on and on about him, but it's something that we're gonna hopefully have in the winter of 2021.
We'll look forward to that. And what was the second thing you were going to mention?
It's a great QPR as well. Great. I mean, the champagne for the quality. I mean, it's almost unmatched.
Brut, extra brut. What?
He does pretty much everything extra brut. But it's really like his dosage is very, very small because he likes a bit more, because we could go about dosage.
Yeah, we're going to go down a rabbit hole here. We really need to focus.
Extra brut, yes.
Okay, good to know.
Cut it short that
I'll
way,
look forward to that in the winter. And what's the second thing that Deserteur is working on now? What's coming up?
Yes, so we got the mixed cases as well for December. When this is gonna be released, I think we're definitely gonna be having the mixed cases.
Okay.
So it's gonna be one mixed cases, which is gonna be called Nord Sud, with two amazing sake from northern Japan, so Nord, from Tohoku region. So it's going to be Yamagata Masamune, and it's going to be also Nida Honke, which we talked about a lot in the natural sake
low intervention
webinar.
is what we learned. Yeah, so maybe we don't call it. No, I was paying attention. But yeah, so the equivalent of a low intervention sake.
Exactly.
And this is kind of the cult guy in that.
Oh, yes. Nida Honke is really, really great what they do. No? I think... yes.
How much did I pay attention? Maybe I didn't pay attention.
No. But you're right. But I would say that the first that really got natural sake on the map would be a bit more Terada Honke, which is imported by our friends at Bacchus 76. Right. But yes, so they're definitely on the they popularized the idea of Shizenshu, which is basically natural sake, if you want a direct translation. So it's going to be that, and we're going to have two amazing wines. We're so stoked to have those wines. It's maybe you know of it. It's called Caso de Mayol. Caso de Mayol, it's amazing producer in Roussillon, which is very, very close to the border of France, and it's from Jordi Perez now, but it used to be Alain Castex. Maybe you know that name. His wines, Alain Castex, are imported through Vinevida, the importing agency from Lindsay from Alma in Montreal. But he started this estate, Caso de Mayol, and now since 2015, it's taken over by Jordi Perez, and it's amazing natural wine, no sulfur, no anything, but so precise, expressive. They're really delicious, and they're not that expensive as well. For the quality, it's really hard to be matched.
Well, I'm glad that has not sold out yet, and that I can send people to that.
Hopefully we're gonna see what happens.
By the time this comes out, hopefully it's still not sold out. Well, I hope for you guys it does, but I'm sure it will anyway. But what I think is really cool is that you have these mixed cases, and then you plan a webinar around them. So instead of just getting a mixed case and not knowing what you're getting into, because I've ordered a few mixed cases from private wine import agencies, and you cross your fingers because there are no tasting events on right now. So there's no way of tasting anything in advance. And then you get it. And then maybe you're disappointed. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're going to do the research on the wine. Maybe you're not. And you're just going to drink it and go, like, I don't get it. Or I get it. Or I really like this. Or I don't like this. But you don't get the backstory like you're talking about. You don't get to know about the producer. So what's cool with your mixed cases is that there is a webinar that comes free with each mixed case, or $15, I believe it is, if you haven't bought the mixed case, so you can still attend. And you get all that information, and you can get excited about the product you just had. You can just join a community of people that share that excitement with you. So I think that's really smart, and that's something that not a lot of other agencies are doing, or that I've seen that they're doing. Maybe they're doing some Instagram Live, maybe they're doing some blog posts, maybe they have a filled out website with all the information, but it seems like you're pushing a little bit more on that. Was that part of your business plan?
Yes, exactly, because I think with COVID, the pleasure is to share the moment with other people when I drink wine, and to have the same wine, and like I say what I think about this one, what I taste. It's the best way for people that are starting to maybe be able to do the same thing after, because at first we are not comfortable, on est un peu mal à l'aise, we are afraid to be wrong, and that's the thing I wanted, that people feel inclusive, included, and the fascinating thing about the wine, artisanal wine and sake, is those stories, and we are the ones that are the maybe at the best place to tell those stories. And every time I hear a story, I appreciate the wine or sake more. So I can understand the feeling, what the philosophy of the brewer or the wine grower. So
especially if you don't speak Japanese, if you're talking about sake, like you need someone to translate, whether that's like an actual Japanese to English translator, or a sake translator, someone who can put that in your wine language if you are a wine connoisseur, to make you understand what's happening on your palate, or why it tastes different, or why you smell bananas, or you know, whatever it may be, what if it's yeast number 7 or yeast number 9, like that actually makes a difference. So I find that really cool.
And even with sake, I think it's since it's not in our culture here in Montreal as wine, people have simple questions like, with what should I eat this sake? Simple question, how many times, how long I can keep it in the fridge. So we always keep a few minutes at the end to take all the questions. We take it through the pop-up, but still just to give them more knowledge, so they be more comfortable to try other sake too, and just maximize the experience. Because you can have a really great wine, but if I don't tell you, maybe put it at this temperature, eat it with this, or it's more something you have to eat with it, or it's more apéro, maybe you will still like it, but it will not be the best experience with it. And I think Deserteur is always, when we did the pop-up in person, that was always something I had in mind, because a real important moment is not just what's in the glass, but everything around it too. So what we eat, where we do it, everything, the small details. Jean-Gab, I always like the small details. I think it does the difference.
That brings me to my very last question of, what's your favorite sake experience at a restaurant? Because you're talking about pairing, you're talking about it being small details. What comes to mind for you?
Jean-Gabriel, I will let you answer this one. I think about
I just hope it's not too long of an answer, basically, because one of my favorite pairings with sake is a pizza, always. And there's this really, really amazing pizza place in Tokyo. I think it's the best pizza in the world for me. It's called Savoy. And they do a special type of Neapolitan pizza, which is called Tokyo Neapolitan. I could go in details into it, but basically it's got more salt, got a bit more umami with the pizza.
Do they
and
put soy sauce in it, or is it just
no salt?
Oh yeah,
salt.
but I was just wondering, like
shio.
for the umami, I was like, I wonder if it was.
No,
okay.
But yeah, it was just the way the Oh wait, I could.
Oh, for the fermentation. Okay, keep going.
Yes,
Keep going.
Okay, and then what they do is when you go over there, they pair it with a sweet peach tea. So when I got into that, I was like, oh well, the easiest way the easiest thing to do with sake is basically to compare it to sweet peach tea, because you got the floral aromatics, the fruity esters from the peach, and also you got the sweetness and the low acidity of it. So what I really like is to have Neapolitan margherita pizza with the sake and jikon would be a really great pairing with it.
Wow.
Because you got the sweet and salty, and you got the low acidity, and you got no tannins as well. So it's really a great pairing for me.
Better than like a barbaresco or like something like that?
Yes, because sometimes with red wine, it can be overpowering. Tannin? I think, yes, exactly, because of the tannin. And also, I think sometimes, as you said, the barbaresco or like the northern varieties of Italy, they can have a lot of acidity. And sometimes I think it overpowers the pizza in itself. So but sake really lets the pizza speak, and then it just complements it with the hint of sweetness and the fruitiness of that is given away by the yeast action in the sake.
Okay, that's a tough call for dinner for me then. Yeah. Now I'm like, do I go with tomato sauce? Do I get fried chicken?
But
both chicken, of great with sake. Yes.
Fried chicken, sparkling daiginjo would be great too.
I happen to have one of those from the last Metropolitan tasting event.
And even creamy pasta with nigori would be a great option. Oysters and sake is great, and that's what I'm having at 6.
I was going to ask you there. Yeah. Oh, that sounds lovely. Oysters and sake.
Yeah, so we just can have fun with sake. I think it's easier to get it than with wine sometimes, because there's no tannins, and you can have fun even with spicy food.
Right.
So like even with bonita, the spicy food with bonita would go well with some sake. So just having fun. And sushi.
Of course.
Yeah.
I lied. Now I have to ask you one more question. Just our very last question to end as we finish our sake here. Asma, if you had one last thing to drink in the world, would it be a sake or a wine?
Oh my God, that's so hard. Oh my God, okay. I hesitate between champagne or sake. Yeah, but I have to choose.
You have to choose.
Oh man.
Podcasts aren't meant to be easy.
No. I think it's going to be champagne. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, maybe I'm going to change my mind like in a few minutes.
Well, I hope you're not dying anytime soon, so you have lots of opportunity to change your mind.
And I want to know about Jean-Gab.
Oh, which one? It's gonna be quite the anticlimax, because I think I would drink beer.
Oh my God, he said it!
That's it, folks. We're done here.
Yes, exactly. I know, I'm a simple man, you know?
Simple man.
At the core of me, I'm a simple man. I'm a humble guy. Yes, exactly. I would choose an humble beer.
Yeah, yes. But with expensive taste, though.
Yes. Humble with expensive taste, exactly.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today. It's been such a pleasure. I want to talk champagne with you for another hour. I want to talk beer with you for another hour, and I want to talk sake for another hour. So I hope you come on again sometime, and we can have more fun. If not, I'll see you at your next webinar. Yay.
Thank you.
Enjoy your oysters.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the Like I Said podcast. We've got one more episode before the holidays that comes with a special chocolate and alcohol giveaway, so don't miss next week. After that, we'll be back after the holidays with more episodes. So if you want to sponsor the podcast, there's time to get in touch on Instagram at Miss Watson, that's Miss Watson with 2 T's, or on my blog, multiculturiosity.com, which is a mouthful, so just check wherever you got this podcast. If you're having a really lonely holiday, like a lot of us this year, maybe it's time to catch up on past episodes, like my conversation with Barbados chef Ria Jilks that comes with video on YouTube or iTunes of those gorgeous Caribbean beaches, or my conversation with winemaker Joan Cousinet of Paris Balta about aged cava and what's going on in Spain right now. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, or Pocket Casts. Follow us on Spotify and find the show on Stitcher. And you can stream any episode on my blog, multiculturiosity.com, which is where you can find more info on next week's giveaway. For links to everywhere that Asma, Jean-Gab, and I mentioned, check out the show notes wherever you got this podcast. Until next week, sip something delicious, festive or not, wherever you are.